Hello friends, welcome. Friends, yesterday I did a video which talked about why telecom operators are rejecting the TRAI's 37 gigahertz spectrum auction proposal. You might be recalling, you might recall that TRAI has come out with a recommendation which talked about releasing 3500 megahertz of spectrum in 36 gigahertz band, which is called millimeter wave band, and that operators are not very happy with that proposal, and they're saying that they need more spectrum in mid-band spectrum, which is from 1 gigahertz to 6 gigahertz. So I explain in this video why they have done it, and I'm not going to repeat it because it is going to consume a lot of time, and I need a lot of time to do the part 2 of this video because this is the part 1, right? So in the part 2 of the video, I am going to capture what valuation mechanism TRAI has used to value 37 gigahertz band spectrum, which is going to give you a reference that how this valuation model that they have used is not appropriate and kind of leads to very faulty spectrum pricing. Because though 37 gigahertz spectrum price may be very minuscule compared to the other spectrum which the TRAI is auctioning or the DOT is auctioning in lower frequency band, but this approach of TRAI is going to throw some light as to what kind of distortive auction prices are emanating or distortive reserve prices are emanating, which is leading to a very, very high auction price and leading to accumulation of debt in the books of the operators. That's the whole purpose of this video. This is going to be a little complicated video. It might confuse the viewers, so I will request your utmost attention so that I can take you through each and every aspect of it, because this topic is highly complex. It is so complex that it will become extremely difficult for you to comprehend if I start telling the story for you starting from 2010 when the first auction was held. I will like my level best to simplify this discussion, right? So my approach would be to give you a summary as to what actually is going wrong with Indian spectrum pricing, and that is going to act as an anchor for you to understand this discussion. That's the whole purpose. So the key issues in Indian spectrum auction from the point of view of valuation is inconsistent valuation approach. This you will understand when we go into the model. Ignoring the context in bidding strategy. For example, as I told you in the earlier video, that the operators took 26 gigahertz band in 2022 in order to drive their spectrum usage charges down because of the weighted average SUC calculation, which you can get and understand in my earlier video, which I just showed you. I'm going to paste a link in the description of that video. Misleading market-based pricing. This is very important because let's say if I have 100 megahertz of spectrum for bidding and you take only 1 megahertz, there were no takers, 99% of the spectrum remains unsold, then also it will be considered as market-based pricing, right? So this is a very important problem. Market-based means that demand has to be more than supply. If the demand is less than the supply, whatever is the reference price that you put on the table, and if there are no takers or there are hardly 1 megahertz of spectrum got sold, it can't be considered as market based, and that is another distortion. Encouragement of predatory bidding. Sometimes it might happen that your competitor may be in a situation that it has to win back its existing spectrum, and there are no alternate spectrum bands in which it can go. So a bidder who is trying to prevent that competitor in the market, let's say if I am an existing bidder, I am not in that space or situation, my competitor is in a situation that his license is expiring and he has to reclaim his existing spectrum, then I have the full authority and the empowerment to screw up his happiness by bidding in his own spectrum band multiple times, and that will raise the demand and push the spectrum pricing very high. It has happened in past, and we will see how this has created problem in spectrum pricing. Then there is no lack of incentive for responsible bidding. We will look into this, and why I'm saying so, because if there is a spectrum which has been put out for auction, and if you have a market determined price definition where it says that even a fraction of the spectrum is taken becomes market determined. Let's say there are 2 or 3 competitors, right? They are not interested in taking the spectrum band right now, but one of the players basically goes and bids, that becomes the reference price even if 10% of the spectrum has been taken. So the two bidders who have not taken spectrum, if they want to take spectrum in the third year, they will never be able to get the spectrum at the lower price, because the price will escalate in the next round by the SBI PLR, because the TRAI and the DOT will consider the earlier auction in which one of the bidder has taken spectrum as a market reference price. You understand now? Then we have the unequal block size. The unequal block size means that, let's say, if there is an existing bidder and if there is a new bidder trying to bid for a particular spectrum, then the existing bidder has got a leverage to bid only on a small portion of spectrum, because he has already a spectrum in that band. He just want to incrementally enhance his holding. But a new bidder has got no other choice but to bid for full 5 megahertz of spectrum, let's say, right? That is the granularity. Then what will happen is that an existing bidder can outbid a new bidder, because he is going to put a small amount of money on the table, whereas the new bidder has to put 4 times or maybe 5 times, depending upon how much block size that he has to bid. That will make the bidding unequal, and therefore there is no way to outbid an existing bidder because of this particular problem, right? Because of unequal block size. Now let's get straight to the document, right? Which I am going to use to give you a flavor as to what TRAI has done as far as the valuation is concerned for this 37 gigahertz band spectrum, because this document will become the reference document for us to understand. And then from going forward, we will use the models which we have discovered, which we have worked, which I have aggregated in my Excel sheet to understand this thing much more clearly and much more sharply. So let's look at what TRAI has said about valuation of reserve price. Why TRAI has valued 37 gigahertz band in a particular manner and the rationale behind it. Okay, so we will talk about that. So what TRAI is saying is, the first point that TRAI is saying that the 37 gigahertz band is almost equal to 26 gigahertz band from the point of view of valuation. Means both the bands are equal in nature, though there is a significant difference in the frequencies of both the bands. 26 gigahertz band in a much lower frequency and 37 gigahertz band in a much higher frequency, but they consider both these bands are almost equal, right? So what they have done is they have used the reference price for 26 gigahertz band for valuing 37 gigahertz band. How they have done it? They have done it in the following manner, and you will understand the distortion starting to emanate right from here. Then we'll talk further on this topic. If you look at in 2022, the 26 gigahertz band reference price was calculated as 6.99 crore per megahertz. How this reference price was calculated, we will look into it when you go into the model. The total quantum of spectrum that was put out for auction was 62700 megahertz. Right? Auction price was at the reference price of 699, which is the reserve price, and 72% of the spectrum was taken. Now, because there was a reference price, as I told you that even if 1% of the spectrum is taken, it becomes the market price. Therefore, what the TRAI did was, TRAI escalated the price of 26 gigahertz band in the next round of auction by the SBI PLR number, and it became from 6.99 to 7.61. Right? Simple. That is how they do, because this is the market price. Auction price is the market price. And after you have the market determined price, you simply raise that price by the SBI PLR value. You don't do nothing. Simple as that. You just apply a formula. It was market determined, even though this was not market determined, because the operators actually took less quantum of spectrum, and the value of this spectrum was actually much higher because of the SUC reduction, because of which I already mentioned in my earlier video. Now in 2025, when they are revaluing this spectrum, they can't use this reference, because they are saying that there was no spectrum which was sold, and therefore the 7.61 is excluded out from the discussion. We are going to start with 6.99, right? Now we don't have a market determined price in the previous auction, then what you do, your approach changes. And let me explain how you change your approach. And this is going to lead to a lot of distortion. So what you do is that you use the same SBI PLR to escalate the price of this number, which is the auction determined price, and bring it at par with 2025. Means whatever the fraction number that you use that, right? So your number will escalate to a particular value. It can be 8.1, something it will happen. So that become one of the ingredients in the overall valuation model, right? So you can use multiple of those, right? So the second valuation model that the TRAI, second ingredient to the valuation model which the TRAI has used is international price, spectrum pricing. Use of international spectrum pricing. So what they have done is they have taken the US auction. You see here in the table, they have taken the US auction and said that the ratio of price between 36 gigahertz band and the 24 gigahertz or 26 gigahertz band is 1.01. So this is the second input to the model. Using these two input, they came out with the valuation of spectrum, not the reserve price. Because here, if you go back here in this table, this is very important, subtle difference you have to understand. When they did the 2024 valuation, when they brought the price from 6.9 to 7.1661, they simply escalated it. It was not a valuation exercise, it was simply escalating the price because there was a reference price of auction available. Even though less quantum of spectrum was taken, not full was taken. But now they are adopting a different approach because there is nothing here, no auction price. So they have taken two models and both the models have been inputted. They are taken two different inputs and they are inputting both of them in the same model. Let's say this number comes out to be 9, right? After doing that. Because this was 7.61, now in 2025, this number comes out to be 9, let's say. Now what they will do is, they will reduce this number by a factor of 80% or 70%. That is how they will do it. Now if you see here, what they are doing is, after having done that, they are discussing the percentage. See, during the previous valuation exercise, authority estimated the value of spectrum using various valuation model, taking a mean value derived from all approach, and the reserve price was set to 70% of the average valuation. And that is why, because of this number of 70%, though people disagree and people want this to be 50%, but they're saying no, nothing doing, we'll do 70%, which is good. Then the final value of the spectrum comes out. And when you add up this and then apply 70% on this, then you come out with a reserve price. It is as simple as that. I think you probably have understood. Now let's look at what are the issues that we have faced in the earlier spectrum auction and how this model-based approach has changed. And this is very complicated, let me tell you, but let's do it and let's try to understand some of the important milestones, which will give you a little bit of flavor what we are going at. Now we start. What I have done in this particular Excel sheet, if you go to the tab, I have captured all the models. Every auction and all models have been captured. So we'll start from year 2022 to understand year 2012 to understand what actually happened. Why 2012? Because 2010 was the first reference round for auction. 2012 actually was the first point in the history of TRAI when they used some kind of approach to value spectrum using the past auction price. So in 2012, what they did, they simply took the 2010 auction prices and then they did what? They multiplied this by 1.2, which is the SBI PLR number because of the difference between 2 years, and then reduced that by 80%, which we already saw, 70% now. Earlier it was 80%. And the 1800 megahertz band became the reference price on which the 900 megahertz spectrum pricing as well as the 700 megahertz spectrum pricing as well as the 2100 megahertz spectrum pricing. Though 2100 we had the reference price, but all the spectrum prices actually got derived from 2100, and later you will notice that the 1800 became the reference valuation model for arriving at the pricing of other models too. So this was simple. Now let's go to the next, because I don't want to go into detail because otherwise you will get lost. I will only like to show you some of the key consideration which you need to understand to kind of appreciate what kind of distortion is going on. Now, for the first time in the history of TRAI, they valued the 1800 megahertz band in a different way. What they did in 2012? You recall in 2012, they didn't use any model, used the 2100 megahertz band reference as a valuation method. Now in 2014, what they did was they took the last auction price or the reserve price, which was of the 1800 megahertz band, and then ground up valuation was done for every circle which was put out for auction. You see, these are all ground up valuation that they have done. Producer surplus model, we have no clue what kind of model that they've used, but they have used some ground up models, and what they have done is that they have also indexed the past auction price, right? And then they have calculated the average value, which is from 3 to 11, right? So this column is the average value, right? After removing highest and lowest, they came out with some reference number, and then they have taken the median, not mean. They have taken the median. Median means the outliers could have been distorted, and the reserve price is very, very important. Reserve price was the minimum of the two. Two means the last spectrum auction price or the reserve price, and what emanated out of the model, which is model 12. This is the average value. So this was the minimum of the two. It is important to understand it was the minimum of the two. So the idea is to use the ground up valuation as much as possible, not the auction reference price. Do you understand? So this was a ground breaking approach for year 2014 the TRAI used, and that is the right model to use. This is for the first time TRAI used a rational model, right? So this minimum is very important. Just focus all his energy on minimum, because minimum basically drives the model to the ground up valuation, not the final auction determined price, which kind of brings out all the correcting factor which is required for valuing spectrum. Then what happened, if you go to the next, tabs, and I will show you that in 2015 auction model, they have removed the minimum to make it maximum. From here, the distortion started happening. You see, now it is no longer the minimum of 2 and the ground up valuation models. It is the maximum. So even if they reduce it by 80%, you see, it has been reduced by 80%, all the models which are ground up models that they have worked on, still there is going to be some kind of tendency to anchor the prices to the in the past auction price, because the past auction price became the reference price because of this maximum. Why I am saying this? You need to understand the ground of value is further being reduced by 80%. So there is a likelihood that these values are going to be lower than what you have seen here, which is the last auction price, because you're doing ground up valuation. But if you choose maximum, then you are gravitating to the last auction. So there is no point in doing all these valuations, right? Because this valuation is useless. Why are you doing so? Because if you have to gravitate to the last model. So this was the first problem with the TRAI's valuation, right? So let's go further on this. Now, if you go further, and in 2016, they followed the same model, and which led to a huge distortion. There was no need for doing all this activity, because ultimately the auction price became the scaled up version of the reserve price became the scaled up version of the last auction price. Okay, so that was the problem that we saw in the past. Now let's go further on this. Then there was another issue which TRAI basically tried to solve, and that was another innovation which TRAI did, which never happened in past, which I want to focus on, because it was a very important, you can say, corrective mechanism which TRAI had taken in 2022 when they valued the 1800 megahertz auction. So what they did now is, because as I told you earlier, that even if the fraction of the spectrum is sold, it was considered as a market determined price, right? Now what TRAI said, no, we are not going to do that, because if they did some changes in their model. You see, now it is no longer just maximum. If you look at this formula, so what they have done is they are basically looking at this column 4, which is spectrum unsold in the last auction. Now, if this column 4 is 0, then they consider that as sold spectrum, market determined price, which is the right thing to do. Because if there is going to be some spectrum which is going to be left out, then this is not market determined. As I told you, that the demand is less than supply. It can't be considered as market determined. But TRAI used another change in their approach, and they changed the formula. It is no longer just maximum, right? So what they said, if D4 is equal to 0, D4 is what? This is D. And this D4 means, let's say, if you go down here, so let's say Orissa I take. Orissa if I take here, for example, this value, D4 means, let's do this following. Let me just see where we are. Okay, no, here, I'm sorry. Let me just go here. Yeah, if D25 is 0, so let's say D25 is what? This is D25. This is the value which is we're talking about. If it is 0, then it what means? Then it's maximum of J25 and K25. What is J25? J25 is this. And K25 is this, which is the average value of 328, which is all the ground up valuation. Do you get it? So, only if there is a market determined price, the definition is all spectrum has been sold here. 7.6 sold. Then only you apply the maximum. Else, what you do, if there is unsold, then you simply take the valuation and multiply it by 0.7, which is K25. K25 is what? K25 is this column and multiplied 0.7, which is the right thing to do. But I don't agree with maximum, because you can't consider the last auction price as the right valuation metric. You should have taken the ground up valuation and did a scale down to 70%, and rather than using this complex formula, you should have done that. Whether spectrum gets sold or not sold doesn't matter. You use everything in the input of the model, come out with a ground up valuation by taking average or median, and then apply 70%. That should have given the right approach, but they did not do that. But there was a tweak which they did, and which was very useful. Now what happened was, this model, which of 2022 was disregarded or not considered in the future round of spectrum valuation, which is 2022. In 2024, when the next round of spectrum auction was done, which was for the 26 gigahertz band, which I showed you, right? If you look at this table, which I showed you right here, this table, where is this table? Yeah, this table, if you see, if you had done this, followed the same approach, the 6.99 should have got reduced to a number which was 70% of 6.99, because this is the one of the input to the model. Maybe this was not 6.99, it could have become 5.99 or whatever the number is. And if you reduce it by 70%, the number would have gone much below 7.61. It would definitely would not have 7.61. So what they did was, they completely disregarded the 2022 model based approach and simply escalated this number. So they again changed the model dynamics. The calculations got changed, and therefore they came out with 7.61 number, right? So that is where the distortions are. So what I did was, at the time when the 2024 auctions were about to take place, I actually did my own calculation for 2023 for the 26 gigahertz band. So let me show you what I calculated for for the 26 gigahertz band. Just a minute. So here is the 26 gigahertz band. Yeah. So my number was 6.45, right? Not this number. Whatever the number that I was showing you, 7.61, right? Though this number was very high and I had to use only the 1800 megahertz model. Let me just show you how I had done the calculation. So this is the model that I have used. If you see here, the 3500 megahertz band became the reference price for calculation of the 26 gigahertz band auction, which I showed you here, right? They have already followed this approach here. If you see here, 35 megahertz band, because why? If you look at this this model, what they have done is, if you go down below in one of the reference points, they have basically mentioned this. I don't know where it is, but forget about, no, not here. Actually, there is another recommendation which I have to show you. Yeah, this is the recommendation, which was a recommendation of year 2022. You see that the model that they have used, right, the ratio of international auction price, and I'll just show you in one of the places which they have mentioned that they have used. Anyway, I will not find it here, so let's go straight here, otherwise the video will become very long. So point here is that use the reference price for 35 megahertz spectrum and then reduce that reference price by a factor of 2.22% here, right? 30 link the 3500 megahertz spectrum auction price to 1800 and then further reduce it by 2.2%, which gives you the valuation of 26 gigahertz band. So this is the approach that they used, right? That is why I am saying that whatever the TRAI has done in this round of valuation exercise is incorrect. Now friends, video is getting too long. I am going to show you one important, you can say, my tool, which will give you a reference as to why distortive bidding took place in the earlier auction, and I'm going to take you through the year 2015 900 megahertz band auction and give you a reference as to why this auction emanated price did not take into consideration the context of predatory bidding. And this is going to be very interesting, and let's look at this. This is a tool which I have developed, and I'll start directly from round number 1. So what is this tool all about? This is the 800 megahertz band, and these are the bidders here for 800, and this is the 900 megahertz band, and these are the bidders, and this is the provisional winning bid value after end of round 1, because I have entered round 1 here, and there are total 115 rounds, right? So what I am going to show you here is that how the price escalated, because in the year 2015 the licenses were expiring, and those who wanted the 900 megahertz band to reclaim spectrum in 900 megahertz band, they were desperately bidding, and some of the other players really didn't want 900 megahertz band, but they went on bidding 900 megahertz band to raise the price for the other bidders. So how did it happen? Let's go one by one and see. So round number 2, you see Reliance Jio bidding 900 megahertz spectrum band. There was no need for them to bid 900, though initial 2-3 rounds are fine, but perpetual bidding in 900 megahertz band was wrong for Reliance because it only raised the price of Bharti, Vodafone and Idea. So let's go straight and let's look at round number 2. Still Reliance Jio is here. Round number 4, Reliance Jio did not take a single megahertz of 900. See, round number 4 Reliance Jio is here. Round number 5 Reliance Jio is here. Round number 6 Reliance Jio is here. Round number 7 Reliance Jio is here. Round number 8, 9, 10. See, all red, Reliance Jio is still there. Round number 12 Reliance, and you will see these prices will keep on escalating here, right? And then if you go here, and you'll find that Reliance Jio continues in these band for 20, 21, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, and then slowly it kind of moves back to 800 megahertz band. Now see, Reliance Jio has focused all their bid in 800 megahertz band, but they remain till 29 rounds, right, in 900, and therefore raised the price of 900 megahertz band, but the 800 megahertz price did not increase because lot of rounds got consumed by Reliance Jio by bidding in the 900 megahertz spectrum band, right? Now if you go, I'll show you very interesting 85th round, because there was 115 round. In 85th round what happened was Reliance Jio was continuing bidding in the 800 megahertz spectrum band, but due to unequal block size, Tata was outbidding him in AP, Delhi and Maharashtra, right? They were trying to level best to win this circle, but they were not able to because Tata was bidding 1.25 megahertz spectrum. Reliance Jio was forced to bid a large quantum of spectrum because it was a new entrant. So it got so frustrated that it moved most of their points from the 800 megahertz band to again 900 megahertz spectrum band. You see, Rajasthan, UP East to UP West, and they kept bidding in this particular band, though they did not to take any spectrum, thereby raising this price of these spectrum band. You see, they are continuously bidding here, right? And they continue to bid for another 10 rounds in this block, in this circle. You see, 95, 96, 98, 99, and then now finally back. So what happened was, because of their bidding in these, no, they are still there here. So 101, 102, 103, 104. Now they are back, I think. Yeah. Now they are not bidding here. So what happened was that because of this, the folks which were bidding in these circles, Rajasthan, UP East, UP West, they had to shell out huge amount of money, and price of these bands become more than Delhi and Mumbai, right? See how much money that the operators had to spend in the 900 megahertz spectrum versus the 800 megahertz spectrum. It is still in round number 106. So if you go further, you will see that the auction actually got over in round number 115, but the 900 megahertz outflow was far more significant than the 800 megahertz outflow. So I can give you multiple such examples of distortive and predatory bidding in the auction. So don't you think that when the TRAI did their valuation exercise, these should have been taken into consideration? I am not saying what Reliance Jio did was wrong, because Reliance Jio did everything legal. It was fair in the game, right? To kill your operate to your competitors, right? Make your competitors' life much more miserable. But it was the responsibility of the regulator and the DOT to take this into consideration to create a level playing condition. Because of that, Vodafone Idea accumulated so much amount of debt that we are now the government is struggling, because all their collections of 2 lakh crores or 2.1 lakh crores of Vodafone Ideas all have to be converted into equity with huge risk. There is no way that they will be able to recover that money. And those operators who got bankrupt, like Arcom, Aircel and others, their money has already gone into the drain. So what was the point in raising the spectrum price by not taking all this into consideration? I can give on, because this is the tool which I have developed, and it kind of captures all the auctions, including the last auction of 2024. You can go and you can look at it, you can kill some of the bands. It does it parallelly. And it took me a lot of time to develop this tool. So I'll encourage those interested to go into this website and look it for yourself. You will understand the kind of distortion which took place in the bidding. And those should have been corrected by TRAI. So friends, I will stop here. Half an hour has passed and I'm sorry, but this is such a complicated video. I don't know whether I have been able to make my views across to you to make you understand that why the valuation approach which TRAI is using and the DOT is using is completely wrong. And that is one of the reasons of escalated debt with the telecom industry and DOT unable to collect it and letting it go, because you have got bankrupt operators and they are holding spectrum because the NCLT case is going on. Lot of spectrum I showed you in one of the videos. So who is gaining out of all these things? I am going to ask a simple question to the viewers. Who is gaining? If DOT raises the spectrum price and the operators are not able to pay, hold the spectrum for years together, battle goes on in NCLT, and the DOT says that give me my dues before I let you to sell the spectrum or let the spectrum put in for use in the larger pool. Who is losing by all these things? We as consumers, because the market is becoming more and more uncompetitive. Spectrum is lying waste, which I showed you in one of my videos, right? So friends, I'll stop here. Otherwise, it will get too long and people will not appreciate what I'm saying. I understand that some of the viewers may not be able to appreciate what I've said, but I think the larger theme of this presentation may be very clear. I have hard data. This is not a conjecture-based video. It is hard data. I can show you each and every auction there was distortion. And those distortions should have been corrected by TRAI by coming out with a ground-based model rather than linking it with past auction prices with past auction. Thank you friends for your time. I'll come back with a new video next time. Thank you very much.